if you want to be a better person, you should view somebody that you know, right? Or somebody that you think is on a big platform that you look up to, and simply try to follow them, right? We all have somebody that we can look up to. Whether you're the highest paid man in the world, right? There's still somebody that's going to be better than you. I don't care who it is, but see what they're doing and see how you can reflect on what they do and how you can do it in your situation. And then you want to just reciprocate that. That's simply it.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Devon gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
Just like that, we're back in another very special episode of Line for Line Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. We have a very special guest in the building today. We got my guy, Armonie. Armonie, how you feeling today, young man?
I'm feeling good, boss. I'm feeling good. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Of course. How you feeling on this Sunday?
This Sunday, I feel blessed, more or less grateful. Feeling like I got a lot of gratitude moving forward, kind of just going from there, bro. Feeling real good.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, the most cliche thing we do when we start Line for Line Podcast, we have the guests just tell the world a little bit about themselves. So you get to tell them about your profession, what it is that you do, what brings you to Line for Line Podcast. The floor is now yours, young man.
Okay, perfect. Right now, currently what I do, I'm in the auto sales industry. So I work for Ziegler, but I also work through Honda. Ziegler is one of the biggest car dealerships out there, in the Midwest, I would say. He has 44 locations. He's not stopping. We just picked up a Ferrari store. That's going to be in Illinois area, but we started in Michigan. We're in Indiana, we're in Wisconsin, and we're also in Illinois. Okay, so he's completely looking to, take over the whole entire area. But I work at the number one store for Ziegler, which is Ziegler Honda of Racine. High volume store. We do a lot, maybe between 350 and 400 units a month. We broke the record in August, which was set by us for the company. We broke the record in April of last year. We sold 426 cars, and that was amazing. So no plans on slowing down now. I'm one of the top performers at my job right now. And I'm feeling really good about, the auto sales industry for sure. Yeah.
Of course. Now, when would you say your love for cars first began?
I would say that began, at a younger age, I used to be like, actually growing up here, it's actually, coming back here is very nostalgic because this is where I grew up at. But I used to see Dodge Chargers back then, tricked out, whatever it was. It's appealing. It's like a new pair of shoes, right?
I'm a huge sneaker fan.
And I see that. I see that as coming in. So it's like those pair of shoes. You see it. It's an appearance kind of thing, but also it's a feeling kind of thing that you get as well.
Of course.
Right? When you put those shoes on, you feel like you can run faster when you're younger. So I think with cars, it was one of those things where it's engineering, you know what I mean? Horsepower, the leather that, the steering wheel, everything that they design as a manufacturer, that dopamine that you get from just sitting in the seat or, hitting the pedal. And that was kind of one of those things, man. I started loving cars at a very, very young age, and then I got into the military, and that was one of the things where I would see a lot of high-performance cars consistently. So I started off on a bike. I got a motorcycle, and that was where I first loved, engines and stuff like that, right? So then that's where everything kind of trickled down for everything, with the car business.
What would you say separates a great car salesman from an average one?
What separates a great one? That's a good question. Devin. A great car salesman is going to go the extra mile for the customer. What separates them is that you're not chasing the dollar. When you chase the money, that's where everything goes out the window. When you do what you love, the money will then follow because you're absolutely doing what you're loving, right? So it's kind of one of those things where you can see that people don't follow up with their customers, nor do they do the right things consistently. When you follow a process and you stick to a T on that, that's what separates you. And then you go that extra mile, that's where those customers start to feel like, all right, this is my guy. And it's not only is it transactional, it's more becomes a friendship, right? And then that's when they continue to have that repeat and referral business consistently, right?
Of course. Now, a lot of people know you're a Hellcat owner yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're a Hellcat owner. You work at Honda. Can you just tell us a little bit about the difference between practicality versus performance when it comes to selling cars at Honda, even though you drive a Hellcat?
Right. So I would say for my lot, we have a variety. So I have high performance car. I actually got my vehicle from my dealership, right? So at the Ziegler Honda that I work for, we have around 220 used vehicles as well, and a combination of new vehicles as well. So we'll have the new Hondas as well, and then you'll have your side where there's just used, and I can sell both, whether it's new or used. So when it comes down to it, I mean, I really don't. Me driving a Dodge, at the Honda dealership, my customers don't question that, you know what I mean? They're more or less just excited about the car to see it.
Of course.
But then, like I said, I mean, I had a guy yesterday, they come to look at an Audi RS3. That's a high performance car, right? But we keep those on ground. So RS3s, the BMWs, we got, competitions as well. We got Hellcats as well. I mean, through the roof. My used car manager, he's keeping everything on ground for us. So that's why I think, that combinations of the high ticket store, because we can sell a bunch of Honda, which, think about everyone's first car, Honda Civic, Honda Accord. Honda's a big brand alone. And then you combine that customer reliability, then also you put in the used cars as well. So we got people funneling in from everywhere.
Of course.
It's kind of one of those things, yeah.
Of course. How important would you say car culture is in your life?
The car culture is extremely important to me. It's something, like I told you, I feel like I'm a natural at it because I can be on the road, man. I know every make and model that's on the road, whether it's a Subaru, whether it's a Honda, a Hyundai. I know every trim level up and down. What's funny is my son, he's 4, and the kid can tell you every single different, every make and model just out there, right?
Yeah.
So the car culture is very big, especially coming out summer. My girl will be out, me, my other 2 boys, we'll probably be out. That's all we do on the weekends, whether it's a drag race or if it's car meets, whatever it is, it's big in my life. And that's what I love about it. Cars also bring people together, right? So you driving past, you see another, Challenger or whatever, you hit the horn, whatever. And then when you park and stuff like that and you link up with these people and they have like tendencies, it's easy to gravitate towards the next person, with the cars. And that's how you become friends really easy.
Now, this is going to be the $1 million question right here. Automatic, manual, which one and why?
That's a great question. I would say automatic, just off the strength of that lag, that you get as you have to shift, you know what I mean? And I'm actually, I can drive both. But my personal opinion, I go automatic, and then you combine the automatic with the paddle shifters, right? So you can still, in every majority of cars now, they have the technology where you can throw the car in manual and you can act as if it's a an automatic kind of thing. So I personally prefer the automatic right away, and then you can use the manual kind of functions, right? That's just me, because when I'm using the Hellcat, it's automatic, but if I'm racing from a 50 roll, whatever it is, I'm going to switch it into the paddle shifters, and that's going to act so I can get on top of that power band. You know what I mean? But
of course.
I wouldn't go clutch. That's just me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Working at CarMax, I used to work at CarMax back in the day. They teach you got to learn how to drive stick shift as well too. And I was like, all this just to drive, like, especially if you think about like in the winter months and all that. I'm like, I'm good off this. Like, especially being like on the highway and all. I was like, I'm gonna need me an automatic all day.
There ain't even no sense for that, man. It's just too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Too much.
Now, where would you say you see yourself within the next 5 years when it comes to your car selling and being a salesman?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the next 5 years, I hope to somewhere be in management. With come management, that gives me a little bit of, I'm not too much on the floor. I'm not running around selling cars, putting things like this. But that's going to be the goal. I can, more or less give my talents off to other people and bring them up. That's what I like to do also as well, is coaching people. So if I can give people my talents and let them know where I come from and how to do certain things, and put a bunch of me's out there on the floor, and we're out there working together, that's what I like, an elite team. So if I can be in a management, get into some real estate, and really kind of build my portfolio, that's the goal for me.
Of course. Now, a lot of us, if they're followers of you, they know that you were just at your boss's house in Michigan as well too. Can you just tell us a little about that experience and
Absolutely.
the hard work and dedication that it took you to get to a prestigious event such as that?
Yeah, so I mean, It's manifestation, man. I look at it as last year from the same position that we're in right now. We just started 2026, right? But when it turned to chapter 2025, I knew I had a goal. The goal was to hit President's Club. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but then I knew what I had to do, right? So I would wake up every single day, and that was what would be on my mind. It starts with that, you know. Napoleon Hill is one of my favorite authors for a book, for inspiration, a lot of things. So it's what you think and what you say, and it's how you do it. So when you think a certain thing and when you believe in it, like I said, that's where manifestation comes from. I would wake up every single day like I just sell 1 or 2 cars, and I knew the number that I had to sell. So for President's Club, I think for this past year, 2025, you had to sell 270 cars. So what I did was I broke it down by the month, okay? And then with breaking it down by the month, I knew, okay, what do I have to sell this week now? Because if I don't sell X amount of cars for this week, you know, am I going to hit that monthly goal? So then not only do you break it down by the month to the week, you also break it down by the day, man. Break it down by the hour. That's any goal that you want to accomplish, whether that's a savings goal, whether that's if you want to go run a mile, if you want to lift a certain weight, you need to break it down and see what it's going to take, right, to get there. Some people go into a goal very blind. You got to have a plan always, right? So I broke it down. And then when I would get into work, man, my brothers would tell you at my job, I'm crazy, right? Like, we start at 9, it'll be 10 o'clock, 10:30. If I'm not sitting in front of a customer, I'm already freaking out. You know what I mean? But that's because I have that passion behind it. I have that passion in what I do, and I believed in what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best at my store. A lot of my guys, you know, that if they'll be watching this, they'll tell you, you know what I mean? I'm not scared to tell them that, but I also believe that. You know, I believe in the inside that I'm the best. Whether I'm not, I mean, I know I got a head honcho at my job that's been in the business for 20 years, and he's great. You know what I mean? But I'll look at him and tell him I'm better than him. You know what I mean? It's friendly competition. At the same time, it's always friendly competition with us. But it's just something that I believe, man. And so it took to get to 270, and I got to 270, 277 to be exact. And so with doing that, Aaron Ziegler invited me to his house, man. And the house is extremely beautiful. And, you know, and I talk about it with my fiance. There's levels to this life, man, you know, from where I'm at to my managers, from my managers, you know, GM, and then, you know, all the way up. It's beautiful to see the different levels of success. But when I got there, it was beautiful, man. It opened my eyes to who I actually work for. Because Aaron Ziegler is an extremely humble person. His family, they're very great as well. I actually got to meet his dad at another event. Before this one, I got to meet his dad, his son, his mom, you know, everybody. And where they come from it's extremely beautiful. So the hospitality that he showed me, I'm sitting with him face to face, almost just as the distance that I'm sitting with you. And this guy's a billionaire, man. Like, I'm a billionaire. The house is like better than some of the NBA players that play for the Bucks out here, man. It's right on the lake. He's got a bar in the basement, big wine cellar. The pool room itself, which is next to the theater room, you go down, you open the door, you can feel the temperature change from the room that you were just in to the pool room. It had to be maybe 80, 90 degrees in the pool room. Overlooking the lake itself, infinity pool, basketball hoops, everything. It looked like a resort, just right in the house, man. You know what I mean? And that's, it's beautiful. But then not only that, the hospitality that everybody showed. I think Aaron Ziegler has Michigan in the headlock because there's a big hotel that we always stay at when I go out to there for the events. It's called the Radisson. He had workers from the Radisson at his house, you know, serving us. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I recognized the bartender. The bartender, he was serving me drinks at the Christmas party. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, yeah, I actually work for him, you know, for events and stuff like that. So imagine that, you know, he cares enough to have local people at his place, and he takes care of those same people. So that, you know, shows you how this guy really is, right? And one of the things that really stuck out to me about the dinner, because it flowed really well, it went from cocktail hour to the award ceremony in his theater room. You get the award, you get the watch. And that's just something that's you know, $7,500 watch, to be gifted that from your company for your success. It really opens your eyes to see who you work for. Of course. So then we went from the award ceremony to the dinner. It was a 3-course dinner. Started off with an appetizer, started off with an entree, and then you also got served with some dessert as well. Nice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It flows really well. And like I said, it goes to show you, because coming where I come from in my life, man, who would have thought? You know, who would have thought? And the way that I see things, on how things are flowing for other people, that motivates me. You know what I mean? It motivates me to put me somewhere different. But like I said, the main thing was he has a son. So Aaron Ziegler came from his dad, which left him the business, but Aaron's telling us, like, hey, well, I sent my son to Chicago to go work as a salesman and go get his own apartment, go do all of it. Like I said, I can't stress this enough. The guy's a billionaire. One of the, I think, top 12 car owners in the country. And so for him to say he sent the son off, he's on his own, spent his own money, you know, his son knows if he ever needed him, he got him. But to hear that and to know that, like, you know, he's not spoiling his kids and his son's got to work, that was amazing, man. You know, direct eye contact with me, asked me a lot of questions about my life and asked my fiance questions. And like I said, to be sitting at a circle table with the big boss and to feel like that was great. It was a great experience all around.
Of course. Now, what would be that advice that you give to a first-time car buyer?
First-time car buyer, make sure you do it right. A lot of things is I like to slow people down because, you know, when you get to that car dealership, a lot of people have dopamine, right? Or a lot of people don't understand what car buying is about or how to buy it. It's the same. It's the next biggest purchase next to buying a home. All right, so you want to make sure you do it right. A lot of people don't understand the first-time buyer program. A lot of people would like to go to, you know, a smaller corner store because it's convenient. Corner lot, I should say, because it's convenient. It's right there. But get out to the high-ticket, you know, dealerships. You know, a lot of people are scared to, you know, go sit down with someone that's professional. But think about it. You know, I had this one dude, I was watching this podcast. He asked, if you're getting a haircut, right, do you like for the barber to be like, yo, do you mind if I, you know, go behind your ear? Or would you rather him push your head and, you know, start taping you up? You know, that feels more good, right? You're like, okay, this guy's experienced. He knows what he's doing. You want to work with someone that's experienced, right? That's going to handle your paperwork properly, your taxes, everything, that's going to know that, right? But then also there's certain select programs that you should do as a first-time buyer. If you go with a Honda or a Subaru or a Toyota, first-time buyer, small money down, you know, Honda's going to stand behind you. They're going to allot you a certain payment because they know what your income is and stuff like that. You do a small lease, man. Build your credit up, let that go. A lease is 3 years, you know, especially so first-time buyers are typically going to be what, you're 18, 19-year-olds, 20 years old. That's how you start off life, man. You know what I mean? When you start off life, you're 21 and you go try to finance an RT Charger. You went in there to go get a Hellcat. You knew you couldn't get that because the income didn't align, right? So the bank brought you down, but then you let the salesman talk you into getting an RT. So then you already kind of settled for something else. And then not only that, you got hit with a 25% rate because you're a first-time buyer. It just doesn't line up. So then it's a cycle, right? So 3 years from now, when you go try to trade it out, you've been paying payments on a car for $700 a month, but your interest rate was 28%. The principal payment itself didn't move. You was paying interest for the entire 3 years, you know what I mean? So then now you're flipped. So you're flipped in your loan, and that's how that cycle starts, right? So for a lot of buyers that don't buy the car right, you just simply, you know, you got to realize what programs are out there and be selective on what you buy, and that's the best way to do it. It's starting off with a lease, I would say.
Of course, of course. What would you say was your first car, and how did that shape and mold you into where you're at now in your car journey?
Perfect, yeah. My absolute first car? My first car was a 1999 Avalon, Toyota Avalon.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I said, I grew up over here, so it was a 1999 Avalon. My mom bought it for me actually with her income tax. My mom got 6 kids, you know. She was real tight about it. She didn't want to spend that, you know, that little G note for me. It was $1,200, but she did it for me though, because it was one of those things. You know, she told me, you know, you graduate high school, I'll take care of you. I was like one of the only kids for her to graduate. I was the first one, but then my little sister got her GED and stuff like that. She took care of. She a little hustler. I love my little sister, but yeah. So my mom was kind of standing behind me on that. She like, you know what, you know, you doing something different. You playing football. You doing all this stuff. You taking care of yourself. You know what? I'm gonna get you a car. Cause I would bug her, man. When I was like 16, you know, I would go to school. I would see the kids, you know, with they driving licenses and all this. I'm like, man, but you know, we didn't have money like that. So it was one of those things. And it's funny because that first car racked me up a lot of tickets because I didn't have a license.
Oh no!
I mean, I didn't have a license or nothing, man. I was driving out here with. I remember one time I was at this little driving range or something with my homie, and we out there shooting. We hitting the ball and stuff. And I told him, I said, let's not do this in the parking lot, man. You're going to hit somebody's car. And actually, a ball, we hear it shatter the glass, and we just start running. We come out from leaving the driving range. I get in my car. I start driving. I feel wind. I think he hit my car because he hit the back window, I think. So I used to have a cracked window, everything in that car.
Oh, for real? So you hit your own car, huh?
Yeah, he did. He hit my car, man. It's crazy. So, yeah, that was my first car. That was my first car that my mom bought. But the first car that I ever bought for myself was actually in the military. I was 23. And I financed actually it was an RT. See, I settled. I wanted the RT. I got a V6, man. I got a V6 Charger, and I'm like, man, this thing sound good.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what it was, man.
Oh, man.
I had a motorcycle in the garage, so I knew that was my speed, but I had my little V6. It was orange. It was bright. It was loud. I don't know what I was doing, man, but
Of course.
that was one of my first big ticket purchases.
Of course. Now, me, since I follow you on social media, I know you're a big wellness guy. You're a big time reader, and you're a family man in general. How would you say who you are helps you be a better person when it comes to selling cars and being personable with your clients?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, man. You're hitting them all on the money. For viewers out there, these are great questions. So I would say, and that's why I say I love this question, because I think about this. When I wake up, it's all about the routine, man. So when I get up at 5, and a lot of people say you're crazy and all that, but you really have to, though. If you work at 7, if you work at 8, do you want to get up at 7 and you got to be there at 8? Now you're showering, you're brushing your teeth, you're rushing out, you have nothing to eat, you're just trying to make it there, right? Instead, that's typical average guy, right? That's what they want to do. But if you be a little different, you get up at 5, okay? You get up, drink a glass of water. That's what I do. Make sure my organs are good right away, right? It's like an oil change, man. Your car, if you don't let that thing, get those oils going, and you just start the car, put it in drive, it's not good. You know what I mean? So I get up, I drink my water, I go in there, I look at myself, slow down, no phone, no nothing, man. You can't allow yourself to be distracted right away. Your body's a vessel, right? So I get up and I go hit the gym. I get there about 5:30. It's the same routine every single day. I get there about 5:30. My lady works at 7, so I got a kid at home, right? So I got to get back after the gym. So I get back probably by like 6:50, something like that. She leaves and she gets enough time because she has to make it by 7:30. She's actually trying to take my Mondays now because she likes what I do, right? So she's trying to tell me that I can't work out in the morning on Mondays. So then I do that. I get back home. I make my breakfast. I slow myself down again. Same thing, no phone or nothing. I'm trying to, get off of that. I can't lie. I'm guilty of it sometimes. So that's something that we all, got to work on. It's just getting off of that stuff like that. Give time to yourself. So then I get my breakfast going. I get my son going. And then I spent 3 hours already. I'm up. My brain's going. I don't work until 9 o'clock or sometimes 8 a.m. So I don't work till 9. I drop my son off. I'm already ready to go, man. No crust in my eyes. I feel good. And now it's time to attack the day, right? Because I've been awake. I'm ready to go. I'm sharp. So that's how I spend my morning majority of the time.
Of course. As we get ready to close out this phenomenal episode, what piece of advice would you give out there to the young man who's just trying to be a better person overall? Even if they're not a salesman, just be a better person overall.
Absolutely. If you want to be a better person, you should view somebody that you know, right? Or somebody that you think is on a big platform that you look up to and simply try to follow them, right? We all have somebody that we can look up to, whether you're the highest paid man in the world, right? There's still somebody that's going to be better than you. I don't care who it is, but see what they're doing and see how you can reflect on what they do and how you can do it in your situation. And then you want to just reciprocate that. That's simply it. I mock a lot of there's so many different people though, you know what I mean? I have so many different mentors and people that are on social media. We got a cheat code nowadays, man. We all do as, humans now in this generation. There's YouTube, there's TikTok, there's everything. So you should find somebody that you like. And then we talked about the writing. I know you mentioned that. Write down your thoughts. When you put that pen on that paper, that's you connecting, with your conscious and with your brain. That's how you can remember certain things. You don't even think that you're going to remember it, but it still stores in your conscious mind. So then you write certain goals, you write how you want to be, and then you simply, you attack that. There's no non-negotiable. And if you want to be a certain way, you have to commit to that. If you don't commit to that and attack those goals, you're never gonna make it the way you want to. You know what I mean? There's always gonna be hiccups in the road. There's always gonna be that, but you still have to remain, straight on the course. I can't tell you how many times that I thought that my life was gonna end forever. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times I thought that it was the worst day of my life, right? And I'm like, damn, And I've always bounced back from those things. You gotta always think, and that's what I try to tell a lot of my family members and the people that are around me. Think positive. Anything that you think negatively on, that's what's gonna impact your day. The moment that you continue to negative this, negative that, negative this, negative that, then you start to wear that. You start to act like that. You start to feel like that. You know what I mean? You are in control of your own vehicle. I tell a lot of people this, man. You are in control. It's your vehicle. You have to be the one to bring yourself out of those bad thoughts, those negative thoughts. Stay optimistic. Stay goal-oriented. And keep your mind sharp. And you can attack anything in this world. I promise you. That's how I look at it. Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first on Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker, and that was Mr. Armonie. Armonie, thank you for having some time for us.
Hell yeah, that was awesome.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.